Good morning, Austin.
Good morning, Tyler. How are you, sir?
Oh, just dandy, just dandy, just dandy. Good morning, everybody. It is Thursday, April 22nd, I believe, 2021.
That's right.
And starting the day off strong.
That's right.
Listen, you had talked to me about something last night, and I found it pretty interesting. And I had heard about this. I had heard about this a long time ago, and you brought it back up, and I didn't know it was still happening. But Britney Spears has long been in the forefront of the pop culture, not pop culture corner, but the pop culture. She's in the limelight a lot, right?
Yeah.
And I didn't know that like her dad controls her life still. She was deemed unfit to like control herself. Or can you maybe give us a little more background into what this is?
Yeah, so basically her dad is like you said, in control of her life and also in control of her finances. So something that she's been fighting in court over some time has been to separate herself from that. Her sister Jamie has been helping out and been on her side. But it's really come to a head. Obviously, she used to perform here in Vegas. It was a big deal. It was a big show. And she came out a few years ago and basically said that her dad was forcing her to do it. She didn't want to do it. It's pretty interesting. She's a very talented artist. I think a lot of people don't give her credit where the credit's due. She's incredibly talented. And she's been doing this since she was like 5,
Yeah.
I mean, the mental strain, I'm sure, of her life has been public since she was a kid. And she told her dad she didn't want to perform. She told her dad she needed a break. The guy kind of forced her to do it anyways, and that's the result was, some of the crazy things that we saw her do. And it's kind of, understandable now with all of this information coming out, that she was basically.
Because when we first saw all that stuff happening with Britney, we just thought it was a star who had gone crazy, right?
Yep.
But we didn't know that it was a star who had gone crazy because she lives every day of her life in a jail, in a jail of her parents making.
Yep.
That's that classic cliche is like, you don't want to be a singer, but your dad wants you to be a singer so he can live out his dreams through you. And he forces you to do it. Like she literally is in jail, but she's not. And that's and I don't know if anyone can fathom what that might be like, but it's not. It wouldn't be fun. You're pretty much, pushed into doing, these big public performances that you don't want to do. You're forced into being, at these events and yada, yada, the list goes on and on. All these things that you never really wanted to do yourself. Maybe Brittany wanted to be a therapist. Maybe she wanted to be a firefighter. Maybe she wanted to be an astronaut, but no, her dad wanted her to be a singer. So that's what she is.
And you know what? It's, like I said, she's been doing this since she was a kid. She hasn't had a private life, so, and she's got kids, she's got a family. Ever, and you look at what she's been doing the last year that she hasn't been performing. She's been with her kids. She's been hanging out with her kids. She's been being a mom. She's been, I think I think the media is pretty cruel on her. And I think there's just a lot behind the scenes that we don't know,
Yeah. And, I feel like Brittany is, like you said in the beginning, Brittany has got a bad rep, in the past, for being who she is. She does have a younger sister. And, I was always, so why, I wonder why the younger sister isn't like, she doesn't have the same experiences, or, the dad didn't try to control her as well. I know she did go into acting. She was in that show, Zoe 101 or something like that. And then I never really saw, and then I never saw from her again. I watched it. I'll be honest with you.
I watched it as
I was young, man.
I was young. But I watched it. She kind of went off the red. She became a mom too. I'm pretty sure they ended Zoe 101 because she got pregnant.
I do remember that. I do remember that.
Right. Yeah.
And Disney or Nickelodeon, I can't remember which one it was.
It was Nickelodeon.
They didn't want to promote getting pregnant that early, or being pregnant in a show like that.
She was in college in the show.
Yeah, no. She was in like a private high school.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, it was like almost like an academy or like a really private high school. It wasn't college.
Okay. Yeah, so after that, she derailed and became a mom, and she loves what she does. She hasn't done anything since, so I'm sure, she loves being a mom. But she has been fighting for her sister on Brittany's side and gone to court for her, for Brittany.
Good.
So
that's just a wild thing
it's such a wild thing. Like, imagine,
consider.
Yeah, like, not only is your life so public, but now your relationship with your parents is complete. Like, and I get everybody's got issues, right, with their parents and stuff, but at the end of the day, they're your parents. You love them. But this, to have it now put on, all the news articles, everybody's talking about it, everybody's reporting about it. That's not going to help their relationship anymore.
Well, the thing is, Brittany wasn't even like, it wasn't even like Brittany was like some subpar, like obscure act. She was the Britney Spears at one point. And, paparazzi sleeping at the, not sleeping, but camping out just to get a picture of you the next day. Paparazzi following you at every turn, every waking moment. You have someone that's potentially, kind of stalking you for a picture. So Brittany wasn't just some singer. She was the pop queen. And to know now that, maybe she never wanted that. Maybe she didn't want that. And her father forced her into it. Where's the mother in all this? Where's the mother in all this whole story?
That I'm not sure. That is a very good question.
Because I feel like a mother, a mother's got some motherly love. A mother can understand and feels for their child in a different way maybe than a father does. And I'm very intrigued to know what was the mother's stance on this? Are the parents still together? Are they divorced? What's their relationship like? Because if he's controlling his kids like that, I wonder what he does. How, why isn't he happy with his life? Is pretty much what I want to know. So that, more on that. We'll definitely be, we'll bring more up on that, if anything ever unfolds of it. But here's, I'll say this on it. Give the girl her life. Like, give the girl her life back. No judge in their right minds should be sitting there thinking there's actually a decision to be made here. The decision's very clear. Right. Stop allowing her parents. I believe her dad is in charge of her financial.
Yep.
So he has control of her money. He has control of how much time. I remember reading about this and I was beside myself. Like the things that he actually has control of,
everything,
are out of this world. Like you would literally, because what happens, guys, or if anyone doesn't know, is when you are deemed crazy, right, for lack of a better term, or when you are deemed mentally unfit, you can petition the court and pretty much say, this person is a danger to themselves. They're a danger to society. And I need to be in charge of them. And you pretty much, all your rights as a person are relinquished to this caretaker. So basically that's what he did. And he will not give them back to Britney, even after she has gone through programs to fix herself. Taken steps to ensure that it doesn't happen again. So she's done all the right things, yet he will not give control back to her. So basically she has no rights. I urge you to do a little bit more research into this, because it's not funny. It's really not. It's not funny at all. This woman is being controlled by someone who took control maybe at a vulnerable state and won't relinquish it. When it's needed to be relinquished. Those things aren't meant to be forever. I mean, they are in some situations. If you have a child that's maybe severely mentally ill, like obviously those cases are different, but that's not who Britney is, and that's not the situation she's in. So yeah, I find that really unsettling.
Yeah, it's I agree. I think it's very sad, and maybe hopefully one day, I'm sure I understand now's probably not the time because it's all over the place, but one day I'm sure she'll tell her side of the story, and I hope she gets to do that for sure.
Yeah, I would love a good documentary about it all.
Well, they did the Free Britney thing on Hulu.
I was gonna say we should start hashtag Free Britney, but apparently it's already a thing.
Right, but she wasn't involved with it in any way, so I don't know. Maybe
it's just it's like if this was happening to, say, the Jonas Brothers, right, or like Nick Jonas, his fans would be out there like freaking out. Right. Yeah. And I'm surprised because Britney had a dense fan base. I'm surprised they're not out there like pitchforking the father's house.
It could be that maybe they don't fully understand the situation, because it is reported about pretty loosely. Right. I think it should be, reported like father takes over Britney Spears' life. Right. The headlines kind of need to. All right, this is to the media. This is the one time I'll let you take the headline and run with it and really get dirty with it, because you'd be helping somebody get out of and the funny thing is we talk about all these women and these like relationships where you want them to speak up. Well, it's the same. It's not just because it's not a spouse and a partner doesn't mean it's not domestic abuse or mental abuse, right? Harassment. So it should go the same thing for a father and a daughter who are in a really abusive, whether it's mentally or physically relationship. I think we should hold them to the same account. And if anyone in their right mind looked at this and was like, hold on, Britney, talk to me. Okay, you're clearly like all there, right? Yeah. All right, why are you still in control of this woman's life? I'm very confused. I think all we need to do is really like bring some light to it. So if it's something we have to start doing, I mean, I'm okay with it. Yeah, I agree.
We don't have I know a huge platform, but I'm okay with it.
Same. I know a friend who actually he's a doctor, and he's like an emergency doctor for the performers on the Strip. So if anything's needed real quick, he's there on the Strip all night long. And he went in and took care of her daughter one time, and he told us, he's like, she's just a mom. She's very concerned about her daughter. She's that was the whole thing. People think that she's just a normal person. She just wants a normal life, and people have blown it up into all this other crazy stuff.
Something that it's not.
Yep.
Can you hold 1 sec? Well, just sure. You can keep going on this, but I just need to grab one thing.
Yeah. I mean, I think at the end of the day, like I said, she's incredibly talented. You listen to her music. Tyler mentioned she had a very dedicated fan base.
Really?
But yeah, it's definitely an interesting thing, to be a celebrity and have your life so publicly talked about, and so like everybody knows you almost, and people don't know the whole story.
Yeah, guys, let us know in the comments what you think. Should Britney Spears, be a free woman, or should her dad still be in control of her life? There's a simple answer there. If anyone reports that or says that she should still be in control or be controlled by her dad, you are no longer welcome. Just kidding. You're welcome here all the time. But yeah, kind of moving on. I think you're going to bring a guest in today, right? A little bit later. What's going on with that?
Yeah, a little bit later. We'll have my friend Paul from Into the West Comics. He'll be coming on just to kind of talk about some fun Star Wars stuff. We're big Star Wars fanatics. And we're also probably a small minority in the Star Wars fandom that enjoys and actually likes The Last Jedi. So we'll have some fun things to talk about that for sure.
Just to kind of plug Into the West, I'm going to show a little. Do they do clips at all?
They do on their Twitter. I don't know if they do on their YouTube.
All right, well, I'll just let one play then.
Yeah.
So this is the Into the West Comics, guys. So maybe you could talk to me about which one it is.
Right, Paul. So that's Frank.
My theory that
I know all of these guys. They're all here in Vegas.
Is Mandarin.
Let's see. Paul's in the middle right there.
Or it's somebody who's going to be directly connected to Mandarin that
Coachella.
They make reference to when this.
What a handsome gentleman.
How do you think that they would be able to plug that?
All right, so this is Into the West Comics, guys. Head over there. Friends of the show, make sure you subscribe to their channel, and then head over to one of their podcast platforms. I'm assuming they do podcast platforms.
Post or whatever.
So head over there. Make sure you follow them on all podcast platforms that they're on, and show them some love. They got a nice setup, man. Really?
Oh yeah, I love their setup.
Great setup.
With this show,
and it's cool because you get to see it. There's 4 of them. You get to see. Usually there's 4. But there's
Marvel doesn't make mistakes. No, they're very.
And they got the. So they got this is like a studio
about how they're trying to put.
Basically, they have a. I think that's an actual radio studio. They have other shows.
Remember, Black Widow was supposed to be out before all of this stuff.
Yeah. Right.
Wait, this is out of Vegas?
And we were supposed to get
it's here in Vegas
before WandaVision.
That's great. So guys, Paul at double
I didn't know if we were going to get through a whole episode.
Make sure you show him some love. Show the West Comics guys. I like how they modeled their logo after the Marvel logo, kind of.
Right.
Maybe
cool, pretty cool stuff there.
Maybe at the end of this.
They're definitely some cool people. I've been watching a few things of theirs.
You saying Marvel doesn't do anything.
Gauge who they were, because these are friends of Austin's. So they're definitely new to us, but. Definitely some cool people, man.
I guess
maybe
like
the
behind the scenes.
Digging it.
And then one of them from there, Donovan, actually. He's I've known him for years. Him and I got to interview Sean a month or so ago, and that was really cool too. Sean O'Connell.
Yeah, Sean O'Connell's a great guy. We've had him on a few times, and kind of like built a relationship with him, and he's definitely one of those guys where, he's not above anyone. Like he doesn't think he's above anyone, and he's not entitled. And I've always enjoyed talking to Sean. I think Sean's one of those guys where you not only do you get a lot of insight, but you can have a lot of fun as well. And he's a really big Spider-Man fan. He's a really big Spider-Man fan.
I know he's writing a book.
Yeah, so I'm pretty excited for that as well. But if you open up that door for Spider-Man with him, man, oh God, it's such a good time. Such a good time. Because maybe it doesn't come as much with much. And here's the thing about Sean is the Snyder Cut book is, yeah, it's all well and great, but when you open that door with him, it comes with a lot of baggage and a lot of like, you know, whether it was the fans hating on him for writing it or calling him, you know, like he was money grabbing or whatever the things are like Caden, one of our Patreons. Sean and him don't get along for some reason. So like, you know, like it's just like it's and I don't know why. Like I don't get it. Like I've always got along with Sean. Yes, I'll be honest with you. I didn't like Sean to begin with. And this is years ago, right before I even had a show, because I read his review for Man of Steel and I thought it was too critiquey. Like when I read Sean O'Connell's Man of Steel review, that day I decided I hate you, right? Because I was like, why aren't you seeing what I see, right? Sure. In Man of Steel, why aren't you seeing what I see? And like that natural like pettiness took over, and then obviously we started the show, and he was one of the first people I reached out to, and I forgot that it was him that wrote that article. And then I looked at his name a little bit more. I'm like, Sean O'Connell, why does that sound familiar? And I did a little digging, and sure enough, it's the same guy. But I've clearly opened up, you know, my mind and allowed for different thinking, because the way I am with Star Wars is the way he is with DC, right?
Exactly. He's a Marvel person.
Right. We watched it in a new light, and we found a love for it, but it's not our main thing. Right. So, I mean, I can understand it more than most people.
And, you know, but what's also cool about him, is he's one of those people that his opinion on the movie has changed a lot. And that's cool. It shows that the people change, man. He's very open about that. He's like,
oh, Justice is here.
What's up,
hey, Justice? What up, Big Drip? What up, Drip Big?
look a little different there, man. But yeah, I think you know, I think people are just too harsh. You know, people are too harsh. They're too closed-minded. Oh, yeah. And I like that he's open about his. You know, he's like, yeah, I did not like Man of Steel the first time I saw it. Now that I've seen it 20 times, it's a lot better. You know.
Yeah, and I feel like for some people, maybe when they watch a Zack Snyder film the first time through, they don't get it.
Yeah.
And that's okay. That's okay. That's not a bad thing. I am glad that at one point he watched it with a new light and said, you know what? I know why this movie's good now.
Yeah.
As long as he comes to that conclusion, whether it's today, yesterday, or tomorrow, he's not less of a fan because of it.
Exactly. No, exactly.
Just because he hasn't been on board with the DC universe the way it is right now since day one does not mean he's less of a fan. And I hate that people do that to him. Mm-hmm. Because am I less of a Star Wars fan because I became a Star Wars fan 5 years ago? No.
Absolutely not.
No one thinks of me like that. So why do they think of him like that?
And look, it's the same thing. You know, you're not less of a Star Wars fan if you don't like the prequel trilogy or the new trilogy or the old trilogy. You know, everybody's got their different opinions, and that's what's beautiful about a fandom is that everybody's there for their own reasons. You know, whatever reason it is that you fell in love with this franchise or whatever, you're there for those personal reasons, and that's the beauty of the fandom. But people turn it into, you know, it's all we all have to be on the same wavelength of thinking, and that's not
the case at all. It's not the case at all. Kind of switching gears here, guys. This is something that I have a really big gripe on. Not gripe, but so today President Biden is holding a summit, and it's all about emissions. And impact on the climate, how we can reduce our carbon footprint. And I do believe that this it's really like this is large. This is big, right? I mean, what he's proposing is pretty outlandish. I'm not going to lie. He's thinking that we can
do it by 2030.
By 2030, we can eliminate 50% of our carbon footprint. That's unrealistic.
9.5 years. We got 9.5 years.
That's so unrealistic. I would say maybe 25 to 30 years. We're talking by 50%. But scientists do say that we don't have long to do it, to stop.
We don't. And we're one of the latest in the game to do it. I mean, half of the world has already started this, and been doing it for years. So we're gonna be pretty late in this game. But I mean, I think, like you said, it's a little outlandish to think it's gonna be 9.5 years when these other countries have been doing it for like 5 already, and they're barely getting started. I think. But it's a step in the right direction. At least we have an administration that recognizes that
it's a real thing, that climate change is real.
Yeah.
It's so real. It's not even funny.
It's
right.
Yeah.
It's so real. And I'm just going to jump in through here.
And real quick, I live in Vegas. I can tell you right now, climate change is real.
As town was experiencing droughts and floods.
You can, 100%.
Was in the middle of the worst drought
can you hear that?
Since the 16th century. After relocating
to
New York, Shia came face to
right
face
now
with
we
another impact of the climate crisis in the lasting damage left
is
by
that an echo or is
Superstorm
that
Sandy. Wherever she went, she saw how changes driven by climate.
It's on him though. It's not on us.
Yeah, because I muted
so
myself.
She had joined the Fridays for the Future movement and was one of the young activists who led their fellow students.
It's funny on the headphones. It's coming in on one and then the other.
The world to the impact.
It's like surround sound, but it's off.
To call on leaders like us to take action.
So this is the summit. Basically, that's happening right now, and I wanted to pop in on it, not for too long. I don't want to get taken down or anything, but I do think climate change is it's really something we need to look at as a real. It's real. It's 100% real, and whether or not, so like, guys, whether it's or not, you just take little steps at bettering yourself and kind of altering your carbon footprint and lessening it. Those are like, everyone always wants to say, oh, I can't do anything, right? I'm just one person. No, it starts with one person. You can't get to 1,000 without one. So, I find that argument to be invalid.
Yeah, I agree.
We've asked a lot of our young people.
Yeah, maybe I'll go to the beginning and see if they got Biden's speech. Oh, they did this like cool little
montage.
Yeah, we'll check this out and then we'll go.
The curve of the Earth, and you see that the atmosphere is so tiny.
The Earth's not flat.
Planet.
No.
And you understand that, wow, there's not that much there that's protecting us from the vacuum of space.
Here you are going 17,000 miles an hour over this incredibly beautiful planet. And here's this thin blue iridescent band, this little bitty thin atmosphere, everything that enables life to exist on this amazing ball of rock flying through space.
Our planet is changing. Since the late 19th century, the Earth has already warmed at least 1 degree Celsius. And we are seeing the devastating impacts. More severe weather, catastrophic events.
Clearly real.
And challenges to our lives and livelihoods.
Don't get me started on the fishing.
How much warmer our planet gets, and how severe the impacts will be, is up to us. The next decade is critical. We must change the course we're on in order to limit the rise in global temperature to 1.5 degrees Celsius. If we succeed, we will protect the most vulnerable, preserve ecosystems and wildlife, reduce our exposure to extreme heat and storms, create a healthier, more equitable world, and create new economic opportunities for all. The challenges are clear, but so are the solutions. The question is, how do we move fast enough to keep the world on track to limit the rise in global temperatures?
In my view, we've already waited too long to deal with this climate crisis. We can't wait any longer.
How do we make bigger, bolder changes than ever before?
Governments must deliver the transformational change our world needs and that people demand with much stronger ambition.
How do we create new economic opportunities and ensure a just transition?
Certainly, we face an unprecedented crisis, but also an unprecedented opportunity to build back better, a healthier, more productive, and more resilient societies. We must step up to this challenge.
How do we create a more sustainable future for people and the planet?
I'm emboldened by my faith that together, with compassion and commitment, we can all emerge from the present storm transformed.
We know we must, and we know the time to act is now. We must go faster and further than ever before.
To bring countries of the world together to raise ambition and meet this moment. That's the only way for the world to succeed together.
This is how we solve the climate crisis. Together.
Beautiful.
That was very, very cool.
That was beautiful, man.
Please welcome the President and the Vice President of the United States.
So silent.
You're right,
it's usually like all the cameras.
Your Excellencies.
Oh, there's definitely
leaders and esteemed colleagues.
There's definitely some sort of like a echo. But yeah, guys. So climate change is super real, and I like a couple of things that Billy said is we must act now. Climate change is important, and we have to stop and halt, and we have to take it seriously. I think the most imperative part of it is we need to take it seriously because it might not affect us in our lifetime, but it will affect your children's children's children, and they won't be able to live in a world or experience the sun the way that we experience it because it'll be too hot for them to handle, and they'll have to live in these. These are real things. Like these are real. Like you watch some of these shows that show you like if this is what keeps going on. Like remember that I forget what movie it is, but they have to live underground, and that's that could potentially really happen because the sun would be so hot that they could not come outside.
For me, I remember in high school, right? I went to a Lutheran private school, so a lot of conservatives. They don't necessarily teach, climate change. However, we did have an ecology teacher that did believe in climate change, and he was only there for 6 months, but he was my favorite teacher of all time. And in that time, Interstellar was coming out.
Beautiful.
So I convinced him to take the entire ecology class. We got to go see Interstellar 3 days before it was even in theaters. They did a private screening for us and all that because it was for educational purposes. But also, I mean, we talked about it. It's another very plausible thing, We're researching planets that might be inhabitable because we don't know how much longer this one's gonna last,
Right. And I think what that movie did well was stress it showed you the importance of it was so real. And I liked how at first you didn't really understand why those people were talking the way they were. The people at the beginning where they're kind of doing an interview style.
Right.
You didn't really understand why those people were talking like that. By the end of the film, you knew that they were now on this ship, right? Talking about the old world and what happened to it and why it went wrong, why it went south, why they couldn't live on it anymore. And I thought that was a brilliant circle. Like the way that they brought that around in Interstellar was beautiful.
Side note: Interstellar is probably my top Chris Nolan movie.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. Actually, maybe we could do a watch party one day for it.
Dude.
Speaking of which, time to plug some stuff. Tonight, I myself, maybe Austin, will be on the Four Nerds channel. They're doing like a little show for me, and you're gonna be able to donate to breast cancer awareness for my mother. As she had passed away from it about a month ago now, or a couple weeks ago now. The time's all jumbled for me. So that's going to be really fun. And that's going to be, touch me a little bit. So join us over there at the Four Nerds channel. We'll be over there doing a show. I'm not sure what the topics of conversation will be yet. I'm assuming it will be like, Snyder Cut or other DC universe stuff. And that's okay with me. It'd be a good chance to get out and talk. And then tonight, tomorrow, it's one of those. Austin can say it.
Right. Late at night tonight. Midnight, join us. We are doing the finale, live watch party of the finale, the final episode of the Falcon and the Winter Soldier. So join us, guys. It's gonna be a lot of fun. This should be, the big bangers, the big close. So definitely join us. And do you have any like speculation for what's gonna happen? What's gonna happen in tonight's Falcon and Winter Soldier? Hopefully, like WandaVision, we'll get an actual villain reveal. I don't think, and I think somebody said this week. I don't think the flag. Have you noticed that? In both shows, the villain isn't really like clear, right? And I wonder if that's on purpose, because Falcon and Winter Soldier and WandaVision were supposed to be the first two shows that came out. It was just reversed, right? So it was Falcon, Winter Soldier, then WandaVision. But in both of these shows, the villain of the show, you don't really know. I mean, you kind of get the sense until the very end, and some people don't like that. Like, they want to know who the villain is in the beginning, so we know where the conflict is throughout the story. And I think what the Disney Plus shows have done really well is they've given you that conflict throughout the story, but maybe not necessarily told you exactly who the villain was. Right, with that hint of mystery to it. Will John Walker be the villain of this story? I don't think so. I don't know. I don't think it's going to be Carly, and I don't think it's going to be John Walker. I'm banking and praying and hoping that Zemo comes back in a badass way. Right. I know. Last we saw him, he's being taken to Wakanda. No, he's not going to Wakanda. Oh, he's going to the Raft. Just kidding. He's going to the Raft, which is run by Ross. So that would be a cool little introduction of Thunderbolts. Yeah, that's what I've been saying this whole time. And I thought Ross was going to show up last week. I'm pretty upset that he didn't. I thought he was in the promotional material for the show. He's in it for Black Widow. He's in the promotions for Black Widow. Oh, right. That's confused. Yeah. That's right. He was in the promotional stuff for Black Widow. Yeah. I kept thinking, that scene of General Ross in the desert. Yeah. That's what I keep thinking. Falcon and Winter Soldier. Oh, okay. That's Black Widow. Yeah. I did confuse the two. All right, so I knew he was in the promotional material for something, and I couldn't remember what it was. Thank you. But I wouldn't be surprised to see him. That's right, Jack. That's right. Falcon and the Mephisto Soldier. I mean, yeah, whatever, right? At least we get a funny gag out of WandaVision. That's right. I'm not giving up the Mephisto thing. I'm taking that with me to the grave. My grave will say Austin Mephisto Lynn. So join us at 3 a.m. Eastern, 12 o'clock Pacific, as we debut the finale episode, the season or series. I guess we'll find out tonight. Finale, the series or season finale for Falcon and Winter Soldier. It's gonna go out with a bang. That's listen. We already know tonight's gonna be action packed. It's gonna be
balls to the wall. It's going to be an hour long. And it's going to be great. I think last week I kept checking. I was like, how do we still have this much time left?
Right. Yeah. Last year, there's still 30 minutes.
30 minutes left. Yeah. My God.
That's right.
So and then Mortal Kombat comes out at midnight as well.
That's right. I'll be at a theater tomorrow as well.
All right.
I cannot see that at home first.
Yeah. We'll have to bring you into the show tomorrow. And then guys, tonight, starting pretty much right now into tomorrow night, we're going. It's on full speed ahead.
Balls to the wall, baby.
Balls to the wall, Pop Culture Corner stuff. Because tonight we do all this. And then tomorrow, join us for our pre-show for Mortal Kombat live at Showcase Cinemas. And then we'll take a break at 4 o'clock, see the movie. And then at 6 o'clock-ish, we'll come back for the spoiler-filled post-show. It's going to be super fun. Our Showcase shows are always amazing, and they're always filled with such joy. So make sure, guys, I actually really can't stress this enough. I would really appreciate if you all showed up and tuned in for that. These shows mean a lot to me, considering it took a long time to get that partner with them. Speaking of partners, before we bring our guest in, we'll be right back after these messages. I'll just keep it with the Showcase thing. I'll keep it flowing with the Showcase ad, and we'll do this one first because I like this ad because it's easy for me. So we are brought to you this week by Showcase Cinemas Deluxe. As we talked about earlier, Mortal Kombat comes out on Friday, and we'll be live from inside the theater for all-day coverage of the film. Make sure to get out and support your local theater. See these larger-than-life movies the way they were intended, on the largest screens possible. Showcase offers X Plus, which is their large premium format theater, comparable to IMAX. Not do you see and hear the film, but you become a part of the movie as well. Find out where your local Showcase Cinemas is by heading to their website, www.showcasecinemas.com. Again, that's www.showcasecinemas.com, or by clicking the link in the description below. Remember, be Showcase safe. Showcase has implemented several protocols to ensure that your focus remains on the film, not on the pandemic, including, but not limited to, new ventilation systems in each theater to ensure proper airflow, sanitizer on every wall, and so much more. Enjoy the movie the way it was meant to be, with a night out to the theater. We are also brought to you by
Kai CBD. That's right. A Las Vegas-based health and wellness brand that crafts a full-spectrum CBD hemp-derived product made with 100% love. The brand was created by a 20-year licensed massage therapist for her husband who suffers from chronic pain. Healing is what Kai lives for, so head on over to their Facebook or Instagram, send them a message, and tell them you're friends of Pop Culture Corner for 10% off any order. Again, Kai CBD, guys, go get that 10% off. It's great stuff. It's homemade, all natural. Get yourself some CBD.
I can't wait to get mine, man. I can't wait to get my my like support package there and test it out. I've never tried CBD.
Really? It's good. It's good.
Yeah, never once tried it, so I'm really excited. But I know it's a good product. So
yeah.
We are also brought to you by Bonk's Bar in Philadelphia, guys. Bonk specializes in seafood and good times. If you're in the Philly area, make sure to stop by. On Tuesdays, our resident producer Jack hosts trivia at the bar. Mention Pop Culture Corner to Jack and receive your first drink on the house. Unfortunately, when Jack's not there, we can't offer that. But you could try. You could try. You could definitely try. For more information about the menu or specials throughout the week, visit the website for Bonks or their social media pages. All the links are in the description. Head over to Bonks Bar in Philadelphia. Get your seafood, get your beer, get your wine, and have a good time. All right, so we're back, man. We're back. We got to start
good time. I like that.
Get your wine and have a good time. That's the alcoholic in me speaking. But yeah. So I mean, so we got your buddy coming in today, and we're gonna probably talk some Star Wars. We talked about it a little bit earlier, and like kind of like introduced it, but The Last Jedi. So a lot of people have problems with The Last Jedi, but you had told me the story about how Rian Johnson wants back in. Now,
well, not necessarily back in. I guess because apparently he after the last Jedi, you have to understand it was a critical success. It's one of the highest rated Star Wars movies critically. So as soon as that came out, they gave him his own trilogy, separate from the Skywalker stuff, and that apparently is still in development as well. They haven't put the can on that. So that's just been waiting around. He's doing Knives Out, but he's also just said that he would like to do an episode of The Mandalorian.
Huh. So The Mandalorian is close to a lot of people's hearts. And I don't know if the people that really like hate Rian Johnson, I don't think they want to let him touch that. Because people hate this guy with a passion. Like they think they pretty much see it as like he ruined something of theirs, you know? And they take that seriously. I feel like the Star Wars fandom is really, really hard to please. And The Mandalorian has done a good job so far of being able to please such a critiquing, angry, spiteful fan base. So will they let? And listen, look at it from Jon Favreau's point of view, or Dave Filoni. Do they want to let him do that?
Right.
What do you think?
I think they do. I don't know. Obviously, I don't. I think they've said a few things about Last Jedi, not anything bad, I don't think, but they've, I think they'd be cool with it. I think Ryan actually said that he said, "Don't let him touch my Mando." That's funny, Billy. Don't let them touch my Mando. I'm dead. I think Ryan said he's already spoken to John and Dave, and like they're willing to do it. They want him to do it. It's just his scheduling. He's like,
well, why not maybe like get on one of these newer shows that don't have like a committed fan base? I mean, we know that they got plenty of Star Wars content coming out for Disney Plus. Why not maybe try to get on one of those shows that aren't as and I know The Mandalorian does a good job of letting multiple directors, and this is what I like about The Mandalorian is each director, so the vision is overseen by Jon Favreau, right? He's like the Kevin Feige of the Disney Plus Star Wars stuff, right?
Right.
He oversees
John
it.
And Dave.
Yep.
Yeah, John
and Dave Filoni. They oversee it and they have a creative vision for what it should be or what it could be going forward. And then they bring in directors like, oh man, of course I'm going to draw a blank right at the moment that I needed it.
Peyton Reed, Robert Rodriguez.
Thank you.
Rick.
The girl from the Jurassic Park. Bryce Dallas Howard. That's a sleeper pick right there for me.
She's an incredible director.
Didn't they bring in Rick?
They brought in Rick who's going to direct The Flash.
Who was going to direct The Flash, but they stole him over to Star Wars. And I think by allowing multiple directors to, I mean, you see the differences in each episode, right? These little touches, but together they make up this great story. And these directors, like the promo from, not the promo, but the behind the scenes thing, for The Mandalorian season 1, like they had all the directors around a round table talking about their experiences. And that was a great little thing that they did. Those directors seemed like they were on par with each other, right? They were like, they flowed. There was a natural energy about that table.
Yeah. And it seems like it's also given the chance for some of these stars to, Carl Weathers directed probably one of the most action-packed episodes and character-driven, like incredibly well done, the balance of Mandalorian. And that was directed by Carl Weathers, So it's kind of cool too that they're giving these guys the opportunity to direct and to do these different things. It seems there's a lot of open-mindedness in that sense,
Right. And so I mean, season 3 Mandalorian, we leave off with the Luke Skywalker the ordeal with Luke Skywalker.
Right. Takes
so we're kind of starting fresh here. No, Grogu's gone, or Grogu is left with Luke, and the story now becomes the Mandalorian. The Mandalorian is by himself. No more protecting a child.
Right.
Maybe this is a good point to bring Ryan in. The story's kind of starting fresh at this point. So
exactly.
We do have the Into the West comics. It's Paul, right?
Yeah,
Paul. So Paul from Into the West comics here. We're gonna bring him in now. How you doing, Paul? I'll get that banner out of your face.
You guys can hear me, yeah?
Yes.
Cool, perfect. I was a little worried about that for a second. Had a little moment. I tried to open it on my Safari, and it was like, nope, you need Google.
Yeah, Safari is no bueno for StreamYard. I have a Mac, so I have to have Google on my Mac just to be able to do it.
Download. Thankfully, it was quick, but I'm happy to be here. How are you guys?
Oh,
good, man. How are you?
Wonderful,
pretty good. A little tired, but good.
Yeah,
right. And I know you got your training after this too. So like,
I gotta go to practice at 10 o'clock, but I got plenty of time.
Practice for what?
Kickboxing.
My man.
I like to get punched in the face, you know.
Yeah, man. I'm a huge Joe Rogan fan, and for years I've been saying like that I wanted to start like jiu-jitsu, or I can never say that word right. Sorry,
you said it right.
Jiu-jitsu. I've been wanting to get into something like that, and there's a place right down the road from my house that like accepts like newcomers and stuff. Mm-hmm. So I think it was like destiny, and like I just found it the other day. So something's telling me like, all right, it's time. Right?
This is
like
another sign talking to me about it. Just get in there, man.
Yeah, just get in there, man. So I really like, I respect it because it takes a lot of athletic ability. It takes a lot of the thought process like behind it. Fighting people just, I feel like a lot of people think about it, it's like, oh, we're just fighting. No, it's not. It's there's a lot more to it.
It's a lot more mental than physical.
Exactly.
Unless you join a fight club, which then you're not supposed to talk about. So that means I can't talk about Fight Club.
That is true.
Yes, I mean, exactly.
Luckily, that's not the situation I'm in.
Right.
Austin, why don't you bring him up to speed on where we are? I'm gonna fill my coffee real quick. I know I'm a terrible host, but it's like 11 in the morning, so
Right.
Yeah, I get it.
Well, yeah, man. So I know we were just talking. Rian Johnson wants to do an episode of Mandalorian. Now I know you and we both like The Last Jedi. We both
I don't just like The Last Jedi. I love
The Last Jedi. Yeah. So then let's get your thoughts. Yeah. What were your all around thoughts about The Last Jedi?
I think it's not a perfect film. I understand a lot of the criticisms people have, but then there's some things about it that people like to complain about that I frankly find kind of silly. It's stuff like, a lot of it comes from Luke Skywalker would never do this. It was like, really? Right. He would never make a mistake. He's a god. And that was one because that's the way it comes across. It's like he couldn't possibly make a mistake. He couldn't possibly for a moment have doubt creep into his mind and be like, maybe this guy could be the next Darth Vader and kill millions of people. And I just take him out right now. He's done. He didn't do it. He didn't even come close. He pulled his lightsaber out and that was it. And the kid saw it and then the kid lost his mind and Luke had to pay the consequences for that. I think that's infinitely more interesting than Luke being perfect all the time.
Right.
And one of the things I hated about the prequels was this destiny crap. And the dumbest thing Star Wars ever did was make Anakin Skywalker Jesus Christ.
Ooh.
Because that's what
hot take.
Ooh,
that's what it is. He's immaculate conception. His mom, it's literally, that's not my opinion. That's fact.
Right.
And it's so silly. And one of the things I love about The Last Jedi is it reinstills that idea that anyone can be a Jedi and anyone can reinstill hope in the universe. And that's one of my favorite things about it.
Agreed. Yeah. And give you a little background on me. So I growing up, I never liked Star Wars. I thought it was and like I think I told Austin this the other day, and I'll be honest, the reason I didn't like Star Wars because everyone liked it. So like I hated it because everyone liked it. And that's obviously very arrogant and ignorant, but I feel like some people like that with DC now, with like the Snyderverse. Some people just love to hate it because everyone else has a passion for it. So that's kind of how I was with Star Wars. And I had seen them when I was younger. Just spit a little bit. I had seen them when I was younger, but I never really stuck with me. 5 years ago, 6 years ago, I watched them with a different mindset, and I fell in love with them. However, I did not watch. The way I like to explain it is like kind of like a video game where I went right down the middle of the storyline, and I didn't do any of the side quests, and I only saw 20% of the map. I haven't seen Attack of the Clones. I haven't seen these animated shows or the tie-in comic books. So I really haven't experienced 100% of the map, if you will.
Right.
So the Last Jedi for me, I enjoyed it, and I enjoyed it for what it was. And I feel like it gets a lot of hate and I don't know why. So that's why I'd like to have it explained to me, like, why don't people like The Last Jedi?
I think a lot of it comes from there was expectations that people had, and they wanted to see certain things happen. Like they wanted Rey's dad or parents to be somebody. I thought it was infinitely more interesting that they weren't anybody. People hated that. They were like, oh, they built this up. And one thing that I kind of thought about after having watched WandaVision recently, it's like, well, why did the Mephisto thing piss you off so much, but not Rey's parents not being anybody? It's like, well, if you look at, there's no source material for Star Wars. There's nothing in the background that says, hey, this is what's going to happen. For WandaVision, it's the opposite. It was based off of something. There was a clear rabbit trail leading to something, and then it didn't happen. And it was like, well, that's annoying. For me with The Last Jedi, it was like anything can happen, and anything did happen, and the best possible thing that could happen did happen. And it also, for me at least, and it removed that air of destiny. It was like, you don't have to be related to Jesus Christ to be the greatest Jedi in the galaxy. And it sounds silly, but that's what it was for me growing up. I was like, this is. I could never be a Jedi. I could never be the greatest Jedi ever because
you're not a Skywalker.
Exactly. Right. But Last Jedi reinstilled that, but a lot of people didn't see it that way. And another thing is they really wanted Snoke to be. This is a complaint that I understand, but I disagree with. They really wanted him to be some massive bad guy, and they wanted him to be Darth Plagueis or this or the other thing, which would have been cool.
Right.
But at the same time, I thought the way he went and passed made Kylo Ren an infinitely more interesting character, and it put him at the forefront. And no, he wasn't Darth Vader. He wasn't some kind of unstoppable evil. He was incredibly layered and textured as a character, and I loved that as a villain.
And it immediately took him out of he's no longer an apprentice. He's the main guy. He's in charge now. And which for most of the other movies, they're under they have an apprentice. Anakin was under Obi-Wan. This was like the second movie. He's the bad guy, So yeah, I'm with you there. I actually agreed. I thought it was way more interesting. And two, I really like that. I'm just a fan of subverting expectations, because as much as I wanted to see Luke come back in a badass way and the way everybody talked about it and stuff, I think like you said, it was far more interesting to have him have this struggle of I made a mistake and I can never do this again,
Yeah, and I thought it was a fantastic reason to have him go into hiding, because it's like that's something people don't really complain about. They're not like, oh, that was a dumb reason to go into hiding. It's like, well, he failed. He was like, I can't do this anymore. And I thought, what other reason could he have had other than he made a massive mistake and created the person that's now dominating the galaxy again, when he was trying to maybe avoid that. But yeah, I just think a lot of the hate that movie gets is, I agree with this. The stuff in the casino world, although I don't think it's as bad as some people make it out to be, that part is pretty whack. I don't love that part. It's kind of goofy.
Yeah.
Not the most. It's a weird allegory for I don't know, human rights or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
It just didn't come across very well. But then again, I don't think it was terrible. At least not bad enough to drag the whole movie down. And but people just had these expectations, and when they weren't exactly met the way they wanted to, they complained about it. They Am I allowed to cuss?
Yeah.
Keep it to a minimum, but
I got you. I was just
but yeah,
they shit canned the movie because it didn't happen the way they wanted it to, and then they complained, and J.J. Abrams and Kathleen Kennedy's hit the brakes and flipped it so hard in The Rise of Skywalker that it made the two movies super incongruent. Last Jedi didn't matter anymore. It basically just retconned everything that happened in that, and also it wasn't very good.
Right.
And so back to what you brought up, something that like really intrigues me, and maybe I'm gonna pretend like I'm I actually am, so I don't really have to pretend. But so I'm the person that doesn't know as much, right? Mm-hmm. So was the Snoke thing supposed to go down the way it did? It seemed really weird. Like it seemed like it was changed almost when I was watching it. Like was he always supposed to be nobody, or maybe was it different? And then
I think JJ had him planned to be somebody, probably, because there wasn't any communication between JJ and Ryan. I don't,
because it seems like we were going down one path and then they like kind of backed up and like took the side road and we're like, yeah, but maybe I'm just like reading way too much into it. I just thought the Snoke storyline, it did set up something. Like it did do a good job of like amplifying Kylo Ren's like who he is and like infinitesimally making him that much more like of the bad guy, right? It seemed very strange to me, and I didn't really understand it, I guess, too much. I was like, well, I feel like they wasted it because like when Snoke was on screen, I was always, ooh, like there was some sort of mystery, right? There was like this mystical element to who is this guy? Is it this guy? And the fan theories ran deep. I think the fan theories went deeper than any WandaVision fan theories, that's for sure.
At least on par.
Yeah, at least on par with them. And then all of a sudden, he's gone with a blink of an eye or like snap a finger or, whatever. And it just seemed like really maybe altered to me. And I just wanted to know a little bit more. But, if it was nothing, it was nothing.
I think you could be right. I think I don't have any inside information. I don't know. And it is pretty well documented that Johnson and Abrams didn't really communicate that much. But if you go back and watch The Force Awakens, that movie's not about who is Snoke. There's a little bit of that. He's this ominous presence a couple of times in the movie, but for the most part, that's Kylo Ren's movie, and that develops his character and the other characters. And Rian Johnson used this big, ominous, all-powerful character as a tool to amplify what I think is a better character. So for me, even if it was changed to be like, oh, he's not anybody now, it was a means to an end and one that I thought was worth it. But like you're saying, I mean, I get it. A lot of people were probably like, I really thought this was going to be something. I was excited about it, and now it's not, and I'm mad about it. And I get it.
Right.
But
I mean, it didn't stop people from going out and seeing The Rise of Skywalker. Like it didn't. Right. And that's what, like, if you were to like, say you were to never look at the box office numbers for any of these films, you would have thought that The Last Jedi either did terrible and then so did Rise of Skywalker, right? Because of what happened in Last Jedi. But if you actually go look at the box office numbers, it never stops these guys from getting out there and going and see these movies. Right? And that's what like blows my mind is like,
except maybe Solo. That might have been where.
Yeah, the only reason I didn't see Solo in theaters is because I was away, and where I was there was no movie theater, and then by the time I had gotten back from the vacation, it was out of theaters, right? Yeah, so we were gone for a long time. I was gone for like a month at that time, right? Okay. So by the time I got back, it was like limitedly in theaters, and it wasn't that big of a movie to begin with. Like right. After a month in, they were like, yeah, okay, it's not doing as well. Like, kind of push it. But I mean, I feel like Solo's another. So I've watched Solo a couple times and I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it for what it was.
Yeah, I thought it was fine. A lot of people hate that movie too. I don't think it's great. I wouldn't even say it was good, but it's definitely not bad. I watched it and I was like, I could have taken or leaving this.
Yeah,
but it's fine. Alden Ehrenreich is fine as Han Solo.
Yeah.
I was looking up the numbers for it, and it was like $275 million budget and just shy of $400 million box office. They lost money.
Yeah, which is that is a failure. 100%.
Yeah, because
100%
speaking, you got to double the budget for marketing and stuff.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
100% lost money.
100%. But okay, so can you tell me what the numbers were for Last Jedi?
Yeah,
all right.
I think that was probably.
That was another one. It was the numbers were high and the critical consensus was.
Oh yeah, so the budget for Last Jedi reported is between 200 and 300 million. It was $1.3 billion.
Yep, that's a success. That's 100% success. But that's the thing is, and then you got to think like that 1 point whatever billion that was not made in the opening weekend. So most people had heard that, okay, this movie is like this, right?
Right.
Like it was getting crapped on from the jump by those diehards or the critics or whoever you want to call, whoever it was. So people went into it with this. Oh my! Wait, The Last Jedi is 90% on Rotten Tomatoes
from critics. Yeah, it's like
what?
Yeah. I think it's the highest. It may be. I could be wrong.
How is this real life?
Yeah.
It's a well-made movie. I don't think that can be debated. But to touch on the Rise of Skywalker
42% audience
budget, yeah, I know. Look, 42%. It's like, yeah, okay. This is an aggregate. If you click on, there's somewhere you can click and you can see actually the average star number, because this isn't stars. This is saying like just positive, negative. I think it's if you click on maybe just reviews or ratings, or just try to click on the area where it has the ratings at.
What do you mean the ratings?
Like click on the certified fresh tomato meter thing.
Yeah.
So critics give it an 8.1 out of 10, and fans give it a 2.6 out of 5, which is like what, a 5.5 out of 10.
Yeah.
That movie's not a 5 out of 10. I don't care what you think. If you don't like it, that's fine, but it's not a 5 out of 10.
No, I would put it up at like a 7.5 out of 10.
And even if you didn't like it, like,
wow, that's crazy to me. But then we go look at
Rise of Skywalker's budget was $275 million and made $1.1 billion. So that movie, like you said, didn't really suffer. It made less, but it didn't suffer.
And now we have the critics completely change direction and jump down to 51%, where the audience actually liked it more. So this is the thing, and this brings me back to a point that I've been saying for quite some time is I don't like if you're the type of person who checks Rotten Tomatoes before you go and see a movie, like before you make the decision to go see a movie.
Yeah.
I think you need to change how you do things. Because I don't think that you should take someone's opinion and adopt that opinion without being able to formulate your own.
Yeah. And click on the tomato meter for that again.
Oh, whoops.
It's the
That's
so
insane. Oh my God.
And it's basically almost a 9 out of 10, 8.6 out of 10 from fans.
Yep.
Like, I guess that movie's an 8.6 out of 10 according to the fans.
Man. Right. And I don't know about you guys, but the Rey storyline, yeah, whatever. I can see some, why people like get upset about it and like get aggravated about it. I thought it was, I didn't think it was any worse than any other storyline that I've ever seen in a Star Wars movie. I thought it was comparable, if not, at times more diverse and driven at some points, whereas like the Luke storyline for me was like kind of like surface level, right? And then obviously it's not surface level, but for me watching it in my 20s, like I'm 20. I think I was 24 when I watched it again with like that open mind, and it's an older movie. It's hard to follow. It's the graphics are all over pretty terrible. And for me, the Rey storyline, I thought I liked more. But again, that's me watching it. You have to take that into consideration. Yeah. I don't have that same love that you guys have for the originals.
Right.
So.
Yeah, well, I don't hate the Rey story either. I think it's fine, and people get mad because she was so powerful or whatever. I thought it could have been better, been more well done, but it was good. I think the most interesting thing that came out of these past 3 movies is is Kylo Ren. I think he's an incredible character, and I wish they in the third movie, I wish they would have focused on him a little more.
Right.
But man, I mean, it baffles me the way people have turned around on the prequels. And it's like people are like, well, they grew up with them and, you know, they love them and this and that. I grew up with them too. I was 6 years old when the first prequel came out. Not even, a little bit younger, but I was growing up when they were coming out. I watched them. I enjoyed them when I was 10, and I grew up watching them, and I was like, these movies are bad. Yeah. They don't make sense. The dialogue is bad. A lot of the decision making is weird. I'm not and have never been a fan of the jumping and flipping, and like if you watch those lightsaber fights, you can track the lightsaber. Like 2/3 of the time, there was no intent to hit the other person. Like if the other person didn't hold their lightsaber up, like Anakin would just whiff at Obi-Wan because he's not trying. The choreography is to hit the other person's lightsaber, not to try to hit the person.
Right. Wow. Actually, I never thought about that.
And that's why, you watch it and it's like, oh, this is pretty. It's like, yeah, it's pretty, but they're like hitting their lightsabers up here, and it's like,
right. Wow, you know what? That's so funny that you say that. That's so funny.
If you were going to kill me with a sword, would you try to hit me up here with it and try to hit the sword I have?
No, I would try to slash your belly at that point.
It's like it's fun to watch, but it's also kind of
I'm trying to win that fight.
Exactly.
Right.
You know?
I'm with you.
I think about the prequels that I hate is the when Anakin kills all the little kids.
Yeah.
And I mean, say what you will about whether he should have been able to be redeemed at the end of the Return of the Jedi. For me, that ruins that. I can forgive him giving the order. I can understand he gave the order to destroy Alderaan, but he didn't. He was a lot of other things going on in motion. But there's no way around it. He walked into that school and murdered children. I'm like, I don't feel as bad for Darth Vader at the end of the Return of the Jedi anymore.
No, not at all. Sorry, I am pulling up some this little graph that I had found the other day. So
yeah.
1 second.
Yeah, I'm kind of with you there. I think the one thing that, because I'm same thing. I grew up watching Phantom Menace and all that. The coolest thing I remember as a kid was I was like 10 when Revenge of the Sith came out, and like that opening sequence was like one of the coolest things I'd ever seen. That's the most I could take away from it. And the end fight, but even like you said, the choreography. Yeah. I mean, I think there are moments of it, you know, obviously hearing Dave Filoni talk about the end of Phantom Menace and like what that fight meant and stuff, I think changed my opinion a little bit. Not on the whole movie. I still hate that movie with passion. But on the ending, I could see like, okay, there's moments of this that are pretty critical, you know.
And that lightsaber fight is not as I love that scene. I hate that movie. I love that scene. And I'm not saying I'm not saying the prequels are completely without merit. I think there's good moments, there's good scenes, but overall, as a whole, I mean, what does Anakin say about sand or whatever? He hates
the feeling of sand on his feet or something.
The dialogue, especially in Attack of the Clones, is just abysmal. It's like no one was checking Lucas. No one. There was no one in there. He was surrounded by yes men who were telling him, yeah, this is good. This sounds good. This sounds good. That's all it was. But yeah, I mean, it's not without merit. Is the scene at the end of at the end of Revenge of the Sith fun to watch? Yeah. Does it hold that much weight for me? Not really. But that also, I like that movie. That's the only prequel that I will sit down and say, hey, this is.
Yeah. I can watch that movie. I can watch that all the the way through.
The other two.
Yeah.
are not.
So this is basically saying that 4, 5, and 6 are those are if you were to just compare it on this graph, right? 4, 5, 6, they're obviously the top of the top. You know, those are the original 3, right?
Yep.
Yes. So 4, 5, 6, and then the 1, 2, and 3. So I mean, those did pretty terribly as far as the critics go. No, that's as far as the critics go. Except what's the third one called? what's the third episode 3 called?
Revenge of the Sith.
Revenge of the Sith does pretty well on Tomato Meter, but audience score doesn't really reflect that as well. So
I'm surprised at the Empire Strikes Back score because that's interesting. Yeah.
But yeah. So I mean, so
what
far,
is
like,
the highest? Is it not?
The audience score for Empire Strikes Back is low. It's 43.
Empire Strikes Back is in the middle. It's V.
You're right. You're right.
Yeah,
that's
number 5.
Yeah,
right. You're right.
Yeah, the 43% is The Last Jedi. But look at so out of all these films, The Last Jedi is the one that has the most, the differentials unreal.
Yeah.
The from critic to fan is it's almost like it doesn't make sense, right? So my point is when you see a graph like this, the numbers, the audience score and the critic score are similar in most cases. They're not always exactly the same, but they're similar. The Last Jedi is the only one that stands against this this graph, right? And why is that? Why did critics like it so much more than audiences? Critics are people who went to school for film. Critics are people who study film. Critics are people who are in love with film. And I think they saw The Last Jedi the way that we saw it, was for what it was as a film. Not what it was as a Star Wars film necessarily, but what it was as a film. And I thought what it was as a film was done pretty well.
Yeah, I agree. I have a bachelor's degree in fine arts film.
Right.
So I can see where, like, you're exactly right. And
it seems like the more educated in the film background, the higher that The Last Jedi ranked for you. And the maybe the less educated in film you are, if you're just the average moviegoer or the average Star Wars fan, The Last Jedi just didn't do it for you.
And that's not to say just because you don't have a bachelor's degree in film and you hated that movie, that's not to say you're wrong.
Exactly. It's just to say that
you have opinion. Movies are subjective. I mean, I'm the first person to throw around this movie is objective. Like if you ask me, Attack of the Clones is objectively bad, but it's not. It's subjectively bad for me. You know what I mean?
Right.
So movies are subjective entirely, like music or any other form of media. It's like, yeah.
Just to get a little insight from you on maybe who you are is so like for the Snyder Cut, like where do you stand?
I think it's fine.
You think it's fine?
I think it's.
I
think it's a good movie. I am not a fan of the. I don't know if you can tell, but I read a lot of DC
Marvel? Comics
in particular.
I was gonna say Marvel. I can't really see that far back, but I know you guys' logo is like based on Marvel and
and I love Marvel,
right?
But at the same time, I'm telling you right now, there's maybe 3 Marvel books up here. Maybe a couple more down there, but all of that is DC. And is the Snyder Cut objectively a good movie? I think yes. It's a good movie. I think it's way too long. I think if you need 4 hours to develop your characters in that way, maybe you're not as good as a filmmaker as you think you are. But with that said, it is the best movie in the Snyderverse. I think Man of Steel may be a close second. I enjoy Man of Steel. I don't like the animals. I think I actually popped in. You were talking about it earlier. But what was I trying to say? The characterizations of these characters. That's what I was going to say. That's my main issue. I think Cyborg is perfect. I think the Flash is better in the Snyderverse or Snyder Cut.
Much.
But Batman is wildly mischaracterized. He is a brute in the wrong way, or he's completely useless. And he's running around shooting guns at aliens. I'll tell you how many comics Batman does that in. 0. Is he running around with a laser gun shooting parademons? It doesn't happen.
I will say this because this is an interesting thing. You're a big Batman fan. I'm a big Batman fan. Probably like for me, DC. Superman would probably be your favorite, right? Is your favorite DC?
Me?
Yeah.
It's like it depends on the day. My answer is Batman or Superman, depends on the day.
For me, it's Batman, and people were so upset, but for me, I was like, I don't know. You watch any of the other movies or any of the other games and stuff, and I get in these movies he's more apparently violent. Like it's more in your face that he's violent. But if you're telling me Christian Bale's Batman didn't leave some of those guys brain dead, like or some of these other things, like or like even the Batman Pattinson. That dude is not going to wake up anytime soon. I mean, like his face is broken.
And I get that, but it's for me, it's like the remorseless way that not in the Snyder Cut. He doesn't do it in the Snyder Cut. I think he's, other than the fact that he's the team guy that gets the team together, he could not be in that movie and it would be no different.
Right.
Save for the fact that he's the one that gets the team together, because he doesn't really do anything the rest of the movie, like as far as like fighting or this or that. He's just like. He gives a cheery, hey, they haven't fought us united.
But you don't think that's essential?
No, it is.
You don't think that's apparent to the storyline? Is that
no, it definitely is.
Okay, dialogue between him and Alfred and him. I mean, that's what Batman's trying to do is build a team so that when he's gone, can save the world and continue to save the world.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that Batman thinks of these. I do know where you're coming from on where. How many of the comic storylines is Batman feel useless in? The number is relatively small to zero. I definitely understand that, and I'm not to say that I don't think that the Snyder Cut had problems, because I do. There were several problems that I had, including the fact that this ancient race of, pretty much godlike beings forgot where Earth was.
That's funny, yeah.
Right, like that number one issue that I had with it was right there. Is, wait, they forgot where wait, hold on. They forgot where the last key to the anti-life equation was.
Yeah.
They forgot where that was? How? Right? So I had a large question in that. Batman, I felt wasn't as useless as some people make it out to be. Justice, co-creator here. He's with you. I think you might even be a little bit nicer towards the cut than he is. But definitely not a place to like. Definitely, this is not a show where you can say, oh, they only like the Snyder Cut. No. We're definitely like a place where all.
I'll tell you right now,
our opinions.
I might watch it one more time in my whole entire life,
and that's okay. That's okay.
And it comes from if once I remove myself and say, hey, this is let's say an alternate universe, where Batman is different, Superman is different. And one other thing I was going to say is Superman, a lot of the dialogue that Batman has feels like it should be Superman saying it. And Superman in all the best Superman comics, All-Star Superman, everything from Kingdom Come, he shows up and whether he is actually the happiest in that moment, he's the happiest guy. He instills hope. He is like, one scene I hated in Batman vs. Superman is when the courtroom blows up and he just sits there and pouts in the room for a minute and flies away. I hated that shit. That shit made me so mad. It's like, that's not Superman. It's not. And it's just the continuation of him not continuing to be, he's the injustice Superman in a lot of ways. He is angry. He's mad. He's trying to, he's being very selfish a lot of the times. He just wants to be left alone. He wants to be doing things correctly. And that's the antithesis of Superman. So, for example, there's this panel part in All-Star Superman, which is the best Superman story ever, written by Grant Morrison. He's dying. He's infused with too much sun energy, and his cells are deteriorating, and he's trying to spend the last of his life he can with Lois and doing the rights he can until then. His life is falling apart. He has super hearing. He hears a mom like, no, where are you? Well, what's the girl's name? I don't remember. And while his world is falling apart and he's still holding it together, he goes and stops this little girl from committing suicide. That's what Superman is. Superman's not some pouty, whiny, cry character that he is in these movies. He's Superman. He is the reason there's like, he's very divisive because he's so happy-lucky, because he is the big blue Boy Scout.
Yeah.
You either hate him because of that or you love him because of that. And I love him because of that. And he is not that in the Snyder Cut universe. And I don't like that.
Right. I think a couple of things, obviously Zach's been pretty open about like grounding it in reality. And Tyler kind of mentioned it yesterday, the analogy is, in a world without God, we kind of make people God, And so Superman, I thought that was kind of cool. That felt very grounded in reality as far as like, okay, yeah, if there was a Superman, people would probably worship him. And how would Superman feel about that, And so I agree with what I agree, because the comics are phenomenal in that, yeah, he's the inspiration. He's the hope. Even in the death of Superman, and all that, it's like he's still fighting.
You look at what he inspires in the ensuing
exactly
after he passes away. It's
exactly.
Like, yeah. I legitimately think Superman is the best superhero ever created. He is what's the word? He is the definition of a hero. He doesn't always he doesn't always make the right decision, but his heart's always in the right place. He always wants to do the most for others. I just don't get that vibe from him in the Snyder Cut or in the Snyderverse at all. And
there's a couple things. I think he was headed in that direction, Superman, obviously, if it would have continued. But you mentioned this earlier. Agree. Yeah, you mentioned this earlier, and I thought it was interesting. I almost feel like, yeah, Zack from the start wanted to do Injustice. But imagine Zack Snyder going to Warner Brothers and going, "Hey, I'm making Injustice." Their heads explode, So he probably had to guise it under, I'm going to do Injustice with the Justice League logo to get away with,
Mm-hmm.
But I agree. There's so many similarities between Injustice and the Snyder stuff that I would love to see him just go full blown on that.
I would too.
And yeah, and we were. You're not the similarities between the Injustice storyline and Zack's films are uncanny at some points. I mean, we know from the storyboards that Lois was going to die, and that was going to turn Superman, into that Injustice Superman. I mean, it's plain and simple. The Injustice storyline was present, right? Maybe mixed with a little, Dark Knight Returns, Death of Superman, in that Marvel way where we take things from certain books and we kind of, clay them together and form something new. I agree with you on a lot of things. I don't agree with you on certain other things. But that's what I think about. That's what the fun of these storylines are, is they are subjective, objective, whatever you want to call it. Wait, which one's the one? I'm so bad. Subjective is the way you.
Objective is, it's like, this is made of plastic. You cannot argue with me.
Right. Okay, gotcha.
Subjective is, this is good, this is bad.
Yeah. Believe it or not, I went to school for English and like communication and stuff like that. Woo! But yeah, so I mean, I like Zack Snyder's world because it combines elements of these characters where, but it's like I walk out my front door and the world that I see in front of me is the world that Zack dropped these characters in. So the sense of realism that I get from it is different. I know that Superman's sitting in the Capitol while it's just been blown up, kind of like pouting. But in that moment, I felt what he was feeling. Like, just what the part of my language, like, what the fuck else can I do? Like, it seems like he was just thinking to himself, like, what the fuck do you guys want from me? Like, you want me to save everybody? You want me to stand here? Like, he just doesn't know. And I think that's the struggle with Superman. And my favorite Superman stories are not the ones where someone challenges him physically, but challenges him mentally, right? Those are my favorite Superman stories because Superman really is unmatched when it comes to physicality. So when someone doesn't, it's hard to write, and people always make that comparison. Oh, well, who can beat up Superman? Who can win against Superman? Well, that's not the question you should be asking. Is who can challenge Superman's way of living, and who, like, what characters bring him to his knees morally, and I think those are the stories that are really gripping when it comes to the Man of Steel. And
that's why Lex Luthor is so popular. He's not a superhuman. He
can't take him on. Cannot take him on hand to hand. Obviously, in some cases he can.
Right, he's got the kryptonite suit and stuff.
Right,
but mainly it's that, like in Batman versus Superman, it's this: I'm going to pit the two against each other because obviously I'm not powerful enough. So I'll put them against each other, and it's that psychological messing with them,
Right, and there's so much, more to it, and there are some points where I do agree. It's like I really am kind of sick of, not sick of, but I wouldn't mind seeing Henry Cavill be the Superman that we need him to be, like the one that's like a Boy Scout. Like we've gone through 3 movies now.
Yeah.
And then think about this. The 4th movie was going to be purely dark side Superman. Like Superman had gone dark side after we just got him back, right? Because Lois was going to die in the Batcave.
Right.
And he was going to change. Now he's, that scene that we get in the Snyder Cut where Darkseid's hands on his shoulder. That corpse that he's holding is Lois Lane after she had just passed away in the Batcave. So Superman's not only asking himself, what did I do wrong? But he's asking, why is Lois in the Batcave? Right? Mm-hmm. He didn't know that Lois and Bruce were having an affair, or not an affair because Superman was dead, but and that Lois was pregnant with, or had given, I don't know if she had given birth at this time, but Bruce Wayne had impregnated Lois, and there was a child now. And obviously at the end of Zack Snyder's storyline, there was going to be this kid birthed by Lois Lane from Bruce Wayne that takes over as Batman. And that's how it was going to end, right? So, that storyline, like, to me, like, yeah, it doesn't pull from, like, there's not too much source material that will give you that same exact storyline. But, I thought the challenges of it, the motivations, the questions you ask yourself when you watch a Zack Snyder film, like when I watched BVS, not only was I asking myself, like, who's good here? Who's good? Is it Batman? Is it Superman? Is it both of them? Like what's going on? But I was also asking myself questions. I was asking myself questions about myself. Like I was turning the scope in at myself and like, am I good? Am I bad? Like, what would I do in this situation? Mm-hmm. Is there a Superman? Like the Superman question that I always bring up, is it, and I think that's what Zach is good at. Maybe DC is not where he should be for the rest of his life. Are you looking forward to Army of the Dead?
I am. I think that's going to be a lot of fun. I think those are the movies he should be making.
I agree.
So I have 2 things kind of touch on to like bring you to where I'm at, like in regards to this universe. So yes, it's more grounded. It's more real. You can identify with the characters more. But that's not what DC characters are for me. And I wanted to see, I think I would have been much more responsive to this if, say, they did a classic version of our heroes, a classic version of the Justice League, and then moved into this. Gave me what I love and then gave me something twisted. I would have loved that. But now it's kind of like I haven't got to see my favorite group of heroes being what they are in the comics on screen, which is what I want to see. And another thing is you were talking about you were identifying with Superman when he was like when the courtroom blew up, and you're like, man, I don't know how, like you're saying Superman's like, what do they need? What do they want? Why do they want so much? Why can't I just do why am I not enough? What do you need more from me? Right. And my thing about that is that's interesting, but for me, that's not Superman. Okay. Superman never does that. He's not like, he never is like whines and cries because they're asking too much for him. Superman's like, I'm Superman. I understand why they're asking me. So it's hard, right. It's difficult. And the current Superman run, which is really good, he's instilling this stuff into his son. He's like, you have these abilities. You owe it to these people. They gave you refuge, whether they knew it or not, and took you in as one of their own once you emerged. You have these abilities. You owe it to them to be the best you can all the time, every time,
right?
No matter what happens.
Yeah. We're doing this thing. We don't have really a name for it yet, but where we kind of like we'll like take a comic book. We haven't done this. I feel like we kind of like slack with like the comic book stuff. It's more like movies, TV, anime, video games, yada yada. But I feel like we've been slacking with the comic book stuff. So what we're gonna do is like read a comic the night before together. Not on camera, but like read it, and then the next day, like in the morning, kind of round table it. Mm-hmm. And I feel like you have a vast knowledge, and I've been reading them my whole life, and but not really Marvel. I'll read like a couple Marvel comics here and there, mostly like the Captain America stuff because he's probably my favorite hero. But not as many. But man, I would love for you to pop in on some of those.
I would absolutely love to.
I could learn some things from you, the way you see things and the way you.
When I'm not working, school, or podcast or practice, if like I wasn't doing this with you, I'd either be asleep or be
right. And that's why like we started the morning one. Is I feel like it's a good way to wake up. It's a good way to get your mind flowing. It's a good way to, maybe you're not stretching out your legs, or you're not like, stretching your body. Yeah, exactly. Stretching your.
That's just on my desk right now.
I love it. You're not stretching your body out, but people forget that the brain is a muscle and needs just as much. So when we can start the day like this, like talking like these fundamental questions, the rest of the day seems like it glides away, right? Like you're mentally awake, ready for it. And
I'd be willing to bet you anything, to your point, that when I go to practice at 10 o'clock, I'm going to feel better than I would have if I had slept in until
100%
the house. Because I got up, got my brain active. Actually was at my girlfriend's house. I drove back to my house to do this because I wasn't going to do it at her house. And it was good. Got me up, got me active, and that's why I try to do stuff in the morning. But I'm pretty lazy most of the time. But and today's gonna be a long day because we are doing the recap of the Falcon and the Winter Soldier tonight on Into the West Comics. After it airs, we're gonna talk about everything that happened with it. Sorry, cheap plug.
I've already done it for you today,
and we're gonna be going live. I'm not sure exact time right now. Probably around 12:45. Whenever we finish the episode, we decided. Because for WandaVision, we had been going live during the episode, and I think that was fine. But there's a lot of dead space there, us sitting and looking at a TV screen. So we're gonna try it, starting it right afterwards, hitting it while it's hot, reacting to what I have loved. It's been a fantastic show.
Yeah, that's another thing. We could probably. I know we were supposed to do like the Star Wars thing, but to change gears once more, I usually won't go over 2 hours. So we have, if anything, probably 20 more minutes. But
I'm here.
The Falcon and Winter Soldier has maybe taken the line in the sand and moved it somewhere else. I think with the Marvel stuff, we expect it to be kind of light, funny, action-packed, very surface level. There's not too much stuff that you didn't see coming, maybe. But I feel like Falcon and Winter Soldier is maybe tested the audiences on are they ready for a darker approach? And I mean, that scene with John Walker, really reminiscent of that storyline, and that shot with him at the eyes, right? I mean, that was, oh man, it still kind of like freaks me out a little bit watching him do that. And what's your take, Ben, on Falcon and Winter Soldier in comparison to maybe something like WandaVision?
Well, before we move on from Superman, just give you an idea. Where I'm at with. I love Superman 1 and 2 from the 70s and 80s. That's the Superman I love. So you can understand why I'm kind of weird with the Snyderverse.
Right. But if I gave you that same Superman, why would I give what's the difference, right? Like, do we need another of that Superman? And I understand what you're saying, right? Well, that's the fundamentals of the character, right? I get that, but I mean,
I'll take that.
It's like if every Batman, right.
I get where you're coming from, but I'll take it.
If every Batman was Adam West Batman, there would really be no reason to ever do a different style, right?
But I get your point. But anyways, Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Wherever I love it. I think it's much better than WandaVision has been or was. And with that said, WandaVision was good. I liked WandaVision. It was fun. I think as far as like the after show stuff was actually probably more fun with WandaVision because there was more to talk about, more to, go over. But I get that. Sorry, I was reading the comment. No, and you're right. Superman Returns wasn't great, so maybe I'm wrong. But where was I? I think WandaVision in a lot of ways just it built to a lot of things that didn't pay off and that weren't as interesting as they could have been, and it was fine. And there's an example within Falcon and the Winter Soldier, the Power Broker. I do not care who it is. It could not be revealed in the show, and I would be fine. I am much more invested in the rest of the stuff going on. And it could very well change with episode 6, but who the Power Broker is, how much of an effect has it had on what's going on the show right now? Not that there is a Power Broker, that's having an effect, but who it is. Does it really matter? I feel like they probably should have just told us who it was 3 episodes ago in the episode named The Power Broker.
Well, if it's Sharon, I don't think that you make that reveal at that point. And
I think you're right.
That's scary to me because now it's pointing me towards it really is probably her. Because that's going to be an upsetting reveal, for the good guys, right? That's going to be a really like kicking the dick almost. And I didn't even know that was a theory until I forget who brought it up. Did you bring it up, Austin?
I told you. Because
when I was watching the show, I never thought that Sharon Carter would potentially even be the Power Broker. It never even dawned on me. Right. Mm-hmm. And then you brought it up and I started putting the facts together and the clues.
Well, yeah, I just thought it was weird.
Oh, no.
And, she could get away with the private driver and all this other stuff. And I was like,
Yeah, so that scared me. But yeah, sorry. But you're right. The at this point, the story, it isn't crucially, it doesn't lean on, well, who's the Power Broker? That's not going to solve any of the story problems for us. That's no conflict will be. I mean, maybe we get a new conflict if Sharon is the Power Broker between Sharon and Bucky and Falcon, but that's not, the story doesn't hinge on who it is.
Yeah, no. And I love this show, man. It's so good. I look forward to it every single week. And I started out when it first came on because it came on the same time as Invincible. They both started. I was watching Invincible first because I was like, I'm a little more interested in Invincible right now. But it's changed. It's flipped. I watched Falcon and the Winter Soldier first because it's the thing I've loved Invincible. But Falcon and the Winter Soldier is limited. It's only one more episode. I'm like, I want to get in on this because I love what's going on. I posted a little review on my Twitter the other day, so I'm going to repeat some of the things I said in there. It's deep. It tackles hard issues, but it never feels preachy. It never feels like it's telling you what to think. And it's deep, but still fun. Where we have had fun with Bucky and Sam, but also felt sad for them and understood the hardships they're going through and stuff. And John Walker, I think, is the best character in the entire show. I love him. I can't look away from the screen while he's on screen. He's a guy that wants to be great. No, you're good. You're good. I just want to finish the shot. He wants to be great, but he doesn't know how. He wants to help people, but he doesn't know how. He readily admits that those things I got medals of honors for, I don't know if I really deserved them, and I want to make up for it. And he's just not built for it. He wants to be, but he's not. As opposed to Carly, who is a character that annoys the shit out of me. I could do without her. She's made the Flag Smashers less interesting to me because she's she's so earnest in everything she does, and she sees no wrong in anything she does. And she, on paper, her cause is righteous, but watching it, it's
and then she murders
just being annoying. People. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, she blows up a building filled with people in it.
What did I say to you the other night, Austin? I said that she's the most annoying character in the whole series and all the Disney Plus shows. I find that she is the most annoying little girl who has no place. I mean, because yeah, she is. She absolutely, and it's not because of, again, because now we live in a world where I have to say this. Her physicality has no meaning to me. Her, because she's a person's color, has no difference to me. I find her repulsive in this show. I find her repulsive. she makes it less fun.
No, she does. And she feels like she's the smartest person in the room. And I think the show wants you to think she is, but she never is. And it's not ever close. She's like clearly the dumbest person in the room every single time. And I
love it.
Can't stand it. But with that aside, she's not bad enough to ruin the show for me. It's just when she's on screen, I'm like, okay.
Right.
What is your Twitter for anyone that doesn't know?
My Twitter is double leg PB. The word double leg PB, no spaces. And then into_comics, which is I run the Twitter. Sunny helps me a little bit, but I do it for the most part.
What's the other one?
Into INTO_comics.
Okay. I just like to get both of those pages. All right, here we go. Yeah. So, okay, continue. I'm sorry, I'm being such a dickhead today.
No, you're good. I think, I love the show. It's so much fun. I like that it's layered and giving you different approaches to these themes. It's like everything Isaiah Bradley said when Sam was talking to him is relevant, makes sense, and he's right about. But everything his sister said to him about don't listen to that old man, make your own this, be your own person, everything she said was right. So it's like they're not alienating any ideas. They're just approaching it with different ones, which I think this world needs a little bit more of.
Yeah. and the funny thing is it's not funny. I suppose that's the wrong word for it. Is me as a white male, when Falcon or when Sam and Isaiah are having that conversation, it helped me kind of understand a little bit more about the struggle, and I felt like I didn't need to be a persons of color or indigenous to understand the struggle and I can never relate to it, but I can understand. I can do my best to understand. And that conversation really helped me to, look at certain other things from a different perspective. So, Jeffrey Ford, which is actually the editor for Falcon and Winter Soldier, is a good friend. And, I really can't wait to talk to him about like how it was to put this show together, because this show the world that we live in now, and especially with what's going on at this moment, this show has a platform to be able to speak on those things, and it did it in a great job.
And that's one of the reasons why I wish Carly was a better character and like more like well fleshed out, because if she was, that would even compound that fact even more. But just like so far, it hasn't really been that great. But even without that, this show is tackling those issues wonderfully in a time where they're so hot button that no one's watching these episodes. There's probably someone, but 90% of people aren't watching these episodes and going, man, oh my God, shut up. Just punch each other in the face already. No one's doing that because they're watching it and going, I get it. And like you were saying, you or I, we can never know what it feels like, but we can understand, we can learn, we can have the ability for something to teach us that, hey, you never had to worry about the color of your skin while doing your job, while doing anything. You've never had to do that. And it's a completely different world for people of color and indigenous people. And that show has brought that to light. And although I like to think I'm pretty well versed in understanding that, this show has made that even more. Like I have learned even more and been able to sit back and go, I never thought about the fact that someone who maybe was also a war hero will go, hey, why the hell would you ever want to be Captain America? That's a disrespect to your people, because that white boy got all this credit for stuff that I was also doing, and I got locked up in jail.
Right.
Like, I never thought about that. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And I like I said, this show has tackled so many subjects that maybe, you and I have a hard time understanding. And, even the mental illness part of it, like, where Bucky comes from, where, he's struggling with other things, not maybe racism, but, the the struggle between who he was and who he wants to be. And that, I think that one scene where he breaks down he finally breaks, like the humor kind of subsides here. And he's like, what does he say? What does he say to Sam? I think Austin, you always mention it pretty well, is, if Steve was wrong about you, and he was wrong about me.
Yeah.
And
that's one of the most powerful lines in the series.
Man.
I mean, seriously, like, because it's like, Captain America's best friend, he had like the best judgment. Even when Bucky was bad, Cap believed in Bucky. And so, I think that's a powerful, like, go around, especially with Bucky's mental struggle with all of this, it brings, kind of like you mentioned, it brings things full circle.
And it also comes back around later on when they're sitting there having that conversation when they're throwing the shield, and Sam is like, Steve was great, but his opinion doesn't matter. It doesn't matter right now. And you need to stop looking for other people to tell you what's good, what's wrong, and what's right.
Exactly.
And as great as Steve is, you need to be your own person and figure out what's right and wrong and right for you.
Right.
Now that kind of,
I got offended by when he said that. I was like, Steve matters. Just kidding. I understood what he meant. But by the way, when they were throwing that shield around, just from let's take all, let's fill the hole back in and stop peeling back the layers. Just from a aesthetic look, when they were throwing that shield around, man, I was just the little boy in me was just excited, man. I was like, I want to grab the shield off and just start throwing it at trees, so hopefully it bounces back. But I forget who brought this up. I think it was our producer brought this up. When Sam is training and he's running by the kids and they go, Uncle Sam, and it's like, Uncle Sam. Shield, Uncle Sam, I want you. I didn't even think about that, and I was like,
my girlfriend kept saying, she was
I was like, whoa. I was
like, oh shit, you're right.
Wow. So so basically Falcon would be the new Uncle Sam, because I mean that's very much who Captain America started out to be, was the guy who's selling bail bonds and trying to get people to invest in the war so the war could keep going, the war machine, right? So the way it's all coming full circle in Falcon and Winter Soldier, the history behind the shield, the things that we didn't know that made the mantle so not of a bad past, but things that we didn't know. Mm-hmm. And I like when Dreyfus says, because we haven't confirmed that her name is who we say it is, Madam Hydra.
Hydra or whatever.
So
I didn't even know who she was. I was like, what character is this?
Yeah. I didn't know from when she first came on the screen, I had no idea. It wasn't until after that, someone was like, she has a really like similar comparison to Madam Hydra. Apparently Madam Hydra was supposed to show up in Black Widow, and that was supposed to, kind of lead into it. And that's why the cameo would have been bigger had Black Widow, came out. But, for most people, they were just like, who the fuck is this lady? Like,
Black Widow getting pushed back, messing things up.
Yeah. Why is Courtney Cox's lookalike on the screen?
That's so funny. That's so funny.
I really said it.
I always feel like that's just me. I'm
like,
no,
go back to the episode. I'm
like, no, it's not Courtney Cox.
I know. Go back to our Falcon Winter Soldier watch party right when that moment happens. I go, is that Monica? And is that Monica? And I really do. They look exactly. The only difference is the Courtney Cox is so plasticky now.
Oh, yeah.
And to each their own. But like if you watch her,
you're right though. You're not judging. You're not saying whether you like it or not. You're just
she's like super plasticky now, and like that show with the wine and stuff, Wine Country or whatever that show is called that she did. You can tell that she just doesn't look like herself anymore. But I mean that's just me. But yeah, so I mean, what are you expecting for tonight? Like, what are your thoughts? What are your hopes? And we can kind of wrap it up here.
All right, so here's my hot prediction. We're gonna get Bucky's gonna go back to the old man, and that's gonna get resolved in some way, shape, or form. We're gonna see Sam come to Carly, maybe have a breakthrough with her. We're gonna see that sick Sam Captain America outfit. I'm so excited.
I know. As
and
soon
I haven't
as it
seen any leaks or anything, which makes me even more excited.
Yeah.
As soon as the box came out, I was like, look, it's same colors. The wings are on the front. Like, let's go.
Yeah.
Let's go. And he needs something like vibranium, full like protection. So I'm happy.
And where else? So I think that you're correct. I hope you're correct that Sharon ends up being the power broker. And I think the big thing is going to be Bucky's going to get his redemption. He's going to help Sam. The U.S. agent's going to pull up. They're going to put a stop to him, get him arrested. But in the process, Bucky's going to die.
Okay. Ooh.
I think
so
that's going to be...
Where are you guys getting this information that Bucky's going to die? Everyone's been saying that.
Well, my thought is in the epilogue to Civil War, Steve Rogers is walking down the steps and he's, he's just given up. He said, too much life lost. I give up this Civil War because it's not worth it at this point. He's leaving the courtroom. Crossbones is on like a tower, like a block.
And hits him in the head, right?
And no, Sharon Carter is brainwashed and shoots and kills Steve Rogers. And I thought if we were doing this podcast 6 years ago or 5 years, whenever Civil War came out, and you would ask me what I thought was going to happen, I'd have told you I thought that Sharon Carter was going to kill Steve Rogers in that. And I was wrong, which kind of makes me think I'm going to be wrong tonight. But I think maybe they'll fold that into this, and not necessarily Sharon will kill him, but Sharon will have something to do with being responsible for his death. Whether it's Batroc the Leaper, which, by the way, I was so confused. Carly called him Georges, and I was like, was that a slip up? Did she just call GSP by his name, like his actual real name? The actor Georges St. Pierre, and then I'm like, what? I googled it. Apparently, his name is Georges Batroc in the MCU. So they gave him George St. Pierre's first name in the
that's show. Crazy.
But, yeah, I know. It was so weird for me. But regardless, point being, I think in some way, shape, or form, they're going to have some adaptation of that. And also, I think it'll give the show a lot more weight. Because I don't know if Sebastian Stan is signed on to do more stuff. And if he's not, why not give his character a send-off that would be like,
it's pretty much redeemed at this point.
Bring the character full circle. And that's not to say he can't live and still do things like that. Right. Like, I would love to see him still be alive. I just think it would be, I was going to say cool. That's the wrong word. It would be interesting if he passed.
Well, we've seen the show really take itself seriously. And I feel like something is going to happen where after we're going to feel the effects of it. Mm-hmm. So whether that's Bucky passing or, I mean, I'm not going to say that I think Bucky is going to die in this episode or in the series. Maybe it's because I don't want to think it and I don't want to believe it. But I'm going to stick to my ground here and say that he won't. And I hope not, at least. God, I don't know.
See, I think the fact that you're so passionate about it, which I mean, I am too, I think it would make it hurt even more, which I think would be good.
Because we were talking about this before episode 4, or was it episode 5? I don't remember which one it was. But those two guys, like Anthony Mackie and Sebastian Stan, I feel like are now amongst the group of actors where when you think of the character, you think of them. Whereas for us comic book fans, I think doesn't go for general audiences because they only see the movie person as the hero. But for me, I see the comic book character when I think of characters. And it's not until like Robert Downey Jr. comes around where instead of thinking about the comic book Iron Man, I think of Robert Downey Jr. as Iron Man.
Or Hugh Jackman.
Exactly. So when I no longer see a comic book panel in my head when I think of a character, that person has now become and embodied that character. And I think Sebastian Stan and Anthony Mackie are in that process. And I think maybe after the series, my head will start changing it.
I think that's already happened for me. And I think that's a really good point you make, that like for us who read the stuff and have like ingested it that way, like Donovan on the podcast last week said it really well. He said, we fell in love with these characters on a panel. And so for a actor to take that character like that and make it his own and synonymous with that character is huge. It means that person is doing an incredible job. And is part of the reason this show is even, I want to see a little bit on a different note. I want to see Wyatt Russell get nominated for an Emmy because he's been incredible. they wanted you to hate him. They wanted you to hate that character. And we hated him. We hated him so much. He knocked it out of the park the whole time.
Very much.
But
very much. No, I think he does. I think he's definitely one of those characters you love to hate and you hate to love. So to see him be able to do that so well is very, 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 very it's telling about who he is as an actor.
Yeah, it is.
You know, that like it's like that like lip thing that he has going on. It's like kind of like an underbite, but it's like he's always got like chewing his like tobacco in his mouth.
Tobacco in his mouth.
Like when they go do close-ups of his face, like I feel hatred.
Yeah.
Especially when he's wearing the Captain America mask, I feel hatred because I'm like, that's not. And like the guy's gotten death threats. That should be enough alone to win an Emmy. Like if people hate you that much, you deserve some sort of award, right? You've clearly done the job, and I think I don't think this is the last we'll ever see of John Walker. I do not think he's going to be the villain tonight. I don't. I think they're going to save him for some other project in some form or fashion. But yeah, man, listen, Paul, we would love to, of course, bring you in. I'll have Austin relay it to you. But when we're going to start this comic deal, I'm trying to find something that would be a good start for us. Any recommendations on a comic book to start a show like this?
Do you want to do a trade or just like a single issue?
Probably a single issue to start it. And then when we work our way up, maybe start doing some trades.
I think a good single issue could be the epilogue to Civil War, The Death of Captain America. I think that would be a fun one to start with. It's a single issue. It's not long. It's self-contained. It's a wrap-up to Civil War, but you understand what's going on. Or even like what's it called? I think it's What's So Funny About Truth, Justice, and the American Way or something like that by Joe Kelly, a Superman comic. It's a single issue, one issue. One that's well revered and stuff, and it would go with what we were talking about earlier.
Heard.
It's like, have you ever seen the cartoon with the elites, the British people who fight Superman?
Yeah,
No.
yeah,
It's that story.
got it. Superman. Okay, Superman.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Oh, awesome. All right.
But yeah,
yes.
I think some of that stuff would be good, and we can spitball more stuff. But yeah,
Yeah, man, we would, and we're still trying to figure out a name for it. We had an unfortunate circumstance. One of the names I had. So I mean, it is what it is. Not looking at you, but I'm looking at you. You know who you are. Whatever. But anyway, love to have you join that.
And the other thing
Austin give you my either email or phone number, and we can kind of start going over. Because I'd like to start it next week. It'd be 1 day a week. That's it. 1 day a week in the morning. The night before on Twitter, we announce like what comic book we're reading, so that if any viewers want to read the book as well, then we would record the show the next morning.
Mhm.
So I think that'd be really fun.
I am so down for that.
All right. All right. What were you saying, Austin? I think you were trying to say something.
Yeah, the other thing is too, these guys Into the West, because of them, when I started watching them, they kind of opened my eyes to Boom Studios and what they're doing, and they have some really interesting comics too, like Berserker and so.
Yeah, no, nothing is off. Like if it's a book and it's a comic. I mean, obviously, like, graphic novels are different, but like they're still, comic book essency. All those things are totally in line with what we want to do and how we want to do it. Really quick, I think he's grabbing something.
I can't put it. Bob's we could do the first issue of
I just want
Seven Secrets, Boom Studios by Tom Taylor. Super cool.
All right. Last things last. Take a look at this. Domestic HBO Max subscribers by 2025, they want 50 million. This is just a fun little a graph for anyone that wants to know that where they're at existing and new, by the way. So I mean,
right.
Here's a cool little graph, so check it out.
Where's Disney Plus is at like 100 million already, right?
They're already at 100.
They're already like 73 years ahead of schedule or something crazy like that. So
but hey, HBO's only been around for a year. They're already almost at 50 million.
No, yeah, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
So
all right, guys. We will be back a little bit later on. I'll be on the Four Nerds channel for a little showcase guest spot, doing a little breast cancer awareness donation from my mother who recently passed away. That was really cool of them to do. So tune in over there at 4Nerds on YouTube, and I'll be the guest a little bit later today. It'll start at 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific. Just kidding. I knew that, by the way. I was just doing a little gag. 4 p.m. Pacific. Austin, I don't know if you're going to be able to join yet today, but I'll find out soon. They didn't answer me on that. And then tonight for Falcon and Winter Soldier. Get out there. If you're subscribed to us, head over to Into the West Comics and subscribe to their channel. I will link it in the description below.
Yes, sir.
We do it for you. We do it for the culture. Make sure that you I forget what I was going to say there. Damn.
Like, follow, subscribe.
Yeah, something like that. Something like that, right? Something like that. Oh, it's too early in the morning.